Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We're streaming all social media platforms at Keys to the City. So comment, like, subscribe, or share. Or you can check out clovercrestmedia.com on Facebook, Instagram, and all over social media platforms as well. We are here after another stupendous holiday weekend in the NFL. But no, we are not talking about the good, the great that's been going on throughout this entire season. We're going to talk about, for the final time, this is why we're doing this today, we're talking the final time of New York Football Giants. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is not much to talk about from the New York Football Giants. So we are going to take today, I know Joe is not here, but we will talk today about the New York Football Giants. And for any of those football fans, those Giant fans that are still out there, like us diehard fans over here in Keys to the City, this will be the last show to check it out, because we are not talking any more negativity, because there's just too much damn good football going on in the NFL. We talked about it yesterday, and we've talked about it throughout this season. It's fascinating. This year coming in, we thought that this was hope. There was, I would say, not all hope, but a small little window of hope, because it felt like the New York Giants had some sort of identity built, and it was coming back to New York Football Giant after last year. I know they didn't make the playoffs. I know that they struggled again and had another losing season. But the way they finished, the way that I know the NFC East didn't play out the way we all thought last year, but still, we all thought that there was hope for this season. We are back again into a putrid, abysmal, disastrous, and embarrassment of a New York Giants football season again. For now, it seems like it's only been 10 years. It feels like a million years that this team is god-awful. They suck. They are trash. They are garbage. They are a garbage-ass team right now. It's fascinating. And everybody, I've been on Twitter and I've been looking and all this stuff. Oh, if Daniel Jones, look, everybody's just got to forget about the Daniel Jones experiment. Everybody's got to get over the Daniel Jones thing. This team is not going anywhere. This team has been abysmal. This team is a laughing stock. Once again, we look at it and we like to break stones with the Jets. We like to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Detroit Lions, and the Houston Texans. There's some teams that have been bad for over the past couple years. We're literally looking in the mirror. We are a garbage-ass franchise right now. And with all the rumors, with all the Joe Judge is coming back, Daniel Jones is going to be coming back. Well, good luck, New York Giant fans, and good luck to the franchise. Because if you expect change, that's not coming. You cut down all of your changes that you want to make with a decision like that. And after yesterday's performance, how you even could sit here as a franchise and say that we are bringing back those two pieces after the performance that was just shown again week in and week out, and it was just basically the icing on the cake yesterday after an abysmal, embarrassing loss. It's freaking fascinating that the New York Giants have four wins this year. And I say, oh, it's only 4 wins. It's still amazing that this team right now, with the way that this franchise has been, with the way that this offense has played, I mean, this is an offensive league. This is all we talk about. We talk about the great play at the quarterback position. We talk about the great positions at receivers and running backs and all the highlights, all the great players that have been in this league. The Giants don't have a freaking Pro Bowler on their team. That should right there just show how bad of a franchise this is. Dave Gettleman should be gone. Joe Judge, and I know you and Joe were the two guys that on this show specifically that were kind of over Joe Judge. I was like the last in line to be defending of Joe Judge. I'm over it. This is a garbage franchise. This is laughable. And for anybody that wants to say, oh, well, this has been tough for time, I talked to a true New York Giant fan that's been around since the 1960s. His name is Ted Keyes Jr., and he's seen bad football before. And he has said that even back in the day, this isn't even bad. This is even compared to what is going on each and every Sunday, Ted.
Yeah, they're terrible, bro. They are. I watched yesterday's game.
How did you watch it?
Before I turned it off. Well, I went to Red Zone about the third quarter after Philly went on whatever their run. They are terrible. They are really. Listen, I say this personally, and maybe it's not totally true, but because we watch the Giants on every single week and we watch every play and watch every game, we're so much harder on the Giants than like if we're watching the Lions and stuff or the Jets. But maybe the Jets are worse than the Giants. But right now, the Giants, to me personally, when I watched them, look like the worst team in football. Overall,
this is by far the worst team in football.
There's no fight. I mean, I understand the guys are trying, but they are so inept offensively that they've gone back and NFL 2021 is about scoring points. I joked with you last night. Dallas Cowboys scored 56 points. The Giants haven't scored 56 points.
They scored 42 in the first half.
Hold on. They haven't scored 56 points in the last 5 games. The Giants have scored less than 10 points in 5 of their last 6 games. I was just reading something while you were talking. Listen to this. The Giants have never, ever had a winning record at any point in a season for the last 5 years. Not in 2017, or 18, or 19, not in 2020, or 2021. This means no 1-0 record after a season opener. The Giants are the only team in the NFL to have never been over 500 at any point in the season the last 5 years.
I sent that to you guys. I sent that to you guys early in the year. I remember that.
Even the Jags, the Jets, the Lions, at one point or another have been 1-0 or had above 500. The Giants have not. The Giants are worse now than they were 3 years ago when they were trying to figure out what to do with Eli Manning and after the playoff loss and all the other kind of BS that went on with this team. They are worse. There's nothing good that you could talk about the Giants. They don't have here. It's a philosophy thing. I look at some of the teams and where teams have gone and transferred and changed. Why are some teams able to quickly rebuild and why are teams not? Here's the first thing. You got to find the GM, right? And he's got to be he's got to be linked like a marriage with the head coach. All right. It starts there. It starts at the top. I joked with Dad yesterday. I said, it's a philosophy thing with the Giants. We as Giant fans walk around like we've been good. Joe's right. When's the last time we've got 4 Super Bowls? But if you go through the Giants' history, just look at the last 30 years. I'm 34, so go back to 34 years. They have not been great. You had the 2 Super Bowls early in the 86 and 91. The 90s were awful after Phil Simms and that team with Kent Brown, Dave. And then the following year, you had that one good year. You had 1 or 2 good years. You had the run. We're going to the playoffs. They got their rear end kicked against Ray Lewis. Then they got awful because they had to get the number 1 pick. That's how they got awful. They got Eli Manning. And then there was a stretch, and they hit the Super Bowl. Then they had a couple good seasons. Then they won the Super Bowl, and then they've just literally crumbled like an avalanche. There's nothing good about the Giants right now. The coaching is a question mark. The GM is a question mark. You sent me something on Instagram today. We spoke about this before on other shows. It starts with the draft in the NFL. The draft is the most important part, I think, of an NFL team.
Built through the draft,
because that's your foundation. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, right? You look at their draft picks the past couple of years, right? And you look at the impact. Now they did have Jalen Smith, who was really good the first couple of years. Van Der Esch, Zeke, Dak, Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick before he had the illness and sickness, La'el Collins, Zach Martin, Trayvon Diggs. These are all guys that they drafted.
Now Micah Parsons. I mean,
DeMarcus Lawrence they drafted. I know
CD.
Did they draft? Did they draft Randy Gregory too?
No. Who the? Yeah, I think they did. I think I'm drawing a blank. I think they did in the second round. He would have been a first round pick if he didn't have.
He would have been a top 10 pick. So listen. Yeah. I know they all have their flaws, but the part of the reason why Dallas is so successful right now is they've hit home runs on majority of their draft pick. The Giants haven't hit a home run on anyone. Barkley is a mess. He is no longer –
he's a shell of himself.
It's hard to say this, but he needs to go for his own benefit and for the Giants organization.
To help his career? Yeah.
Just send him to another team where he can hopefully flourish. He'll never flourish as a New York Giant. His career will be over in 2 years, and we'll always question what if. Andrew Thomas – not bad left tackle. We can work on that. The quarterback is a huge question mark. This is the difference in the NFL. We joked about this on the show. Perfect example I'll make for you. Cleveland Browns are a very talented team. The Bengals are very talented, but if you were matching up teams, we talked about this preseason. I thought Tampa Bay and the Cleveland Browns were the most talented teams. Offensive lines, defensive line, linebackers, secondary safeties. The only problem with the Browns was the Baker Mayfield effect. I said to you this: what if Joe Burrow was the number one pick for the Browns? They would be the number one seed. It wouldn't even be a question. I mean, Colin Cowherd, who does the show nationally, said if you watched the game Saturday, the Browns dominated the line of scrimmage. They ran the ball. The biggest difference in that game was one team had Baker Mayfield, who threw 4 picks, and the other guy had Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't throw 4 picks in a whole season. You got to hit the quarterback right, and then everything builds off of that. The Giants are terrible. They are to think they have 4 wins. Actually, they have the same amount of wins as the Jets. It's pretty incredible. They don't deserve anything. They have to break it down. They literally have to break it down.
I'm terrified, Ted, that the Giants are going to have 2 picks possibly in the top 10 and what they're going to do with those, because with the way history has gone for the Giants, I don't know what to make of it. Here's my also thing that kind of ticks me off about all this. This is an offensive league, and everybody wants to say, well, the Giants have injuries in this. Okay. So Baltimore Ravens, I know they got their asses kicked last week and this week, and they've been in a struggle, but that team has been decimated. They got 8 wins. There's another thing. The Detroit Lions last week played against the Arizona Cardinals, who have been one of the premier teams in the NFL this season recently. With their recent struggles now, that could be said otherwise. They put up 30 points. And then this past week, the Houston Texans, who the Giants have more talent than, put up 41 points against the same Charger team that just demolished, just embarrassed for the New York Giants. This team is a complete comedy show. If you want to watch comedy, don't go watch Chris Farley.
No, comedy you laugh at. This is you cry at.
No,
it feels like a funeral.
No, you laugh at because you're literally looking at a joke. If you want to go watch Chris Farley, you want to watch Jim Carrey and all that, that's fine. Okay, I get it. But if you really want to watch comedy for 3 hours, nonstop comedy, just turn on Fox at 1 o'clock or CBS, and you'll watch comedy for 3 hours, because that's what the New York Giants have become. They are an absolute joke of a franchise right now, and this is frustrating because, yes, we are diehard football fans, but we always know that we bleed Big Blue.
Here's the thing.
This is just over and over every year that we've been doing this show, that there's the amount of negativity that we've talked about on the Giants. God, we'd be millionaires for the amount of times we talk about it.
But now, Trev, here's the thing. It's not a comedy show. I more agree with what Sanders just said. It's a horror show. It is a horror show. It's not a comedy.
Yes.
Listen, last night was a comedy show. Watching Dallas do what they did to another team, they could have scored 70 last night. That's a comedy show. Here's the biggest thing, and I take from the Giants. I'll finish it off with this. 2 things. 1, it's coaching. I look at bad teams and I look at good teams. I look at the Ravens, considering all their decimated injuries last week, they still had the Packers on the run and they had a chance to win the game. This week, as much as they got killed against the Bengals, they still put up 27 points. Go look at all the games, even without, they still put up points. The Giants can't put up points even with their starters. Here's the other thing, and I'll finish off with this. There's a team yesterday that lost that was in a playoff hunt. They blew a golden opportunity. It's called the Los Angeles Chargers. The same Los Angeles Chargers that crushed the Giants. Take away the 2 last touchdowns the Giants scored. That's garbage. That's baloney. The Texans, who had 18 players on COVID yesterday, destroyed the Chargers. They ran.
And they beat them. There was no fluke. They beat them.
They ran for over 170 plus yards. They did whatever they wanted to them. They scored 41 points. Like I said before, the Giants haven't scored 40 points in the last 4 games. That is coaching. That's not players. That's coaching, because the Giants as a whole have talent. Galladay's a talented receiver. Barkley's a talented guy. Tony's a talented. Leonard Williams. They have talent, guys. Coaching. It's all about coaching. It really is about coaching, because I look at the Patriots last year. They were awful. They had no one. They lost everyone. The guys were over COVID.
And they still won 7 games.
Bill Belichick was still able to make them super competitive. I watched the Giants. They're not competitive. They're not exciting. They are not a comedy show, Trev. They are a horror show. And it's sad to see that this organization, who we think is a really good organization, sucks. Plain and simple, they suck.
The thing is,
I would rather Joe Judge say, I'd rather Joe Judge just come to the thing and say, we suck. We didn't do anything right. We do not play well. We did not execute, and our coaching got out-coached for all facets of the game. And that's it, because our best player right now is Graham Gano.
That's a problem. We think this is a good franchise. This hasn't been a good franchise since Super Bowl 46. This is a garbage franchise. This is a laughing stock. Like when I say this is a joke of a team. This is a horror show. There's nothing great. There's no great word to speak when we define the New York Football Giants franchise. And for the Mara family, the Tisch family, if you're willing to go through with all this again, with Joe Judge, Daniel Jones, and if the front runner that we all have been seeing a lot on the social media is Kevin Abrams, you're just saying to the fans, yeah, deal with it, because we're gonna this is a team that's going nowhere and nowhere fast. Because at least the Detroit Lions play with heart. At least the Jets, who have less talent than the New York Giants, they won. I know they played Jacksonville. Houston beat up on the Chargers. They were the better team yesterday. That wasn't a fluke of a win. They were the better team for 60 minutes. This is the worst football team in the NFL right now, and it's not even close. In an offensive league where I looked at it, Ted, I'm actually shocked right now that this team actually averages over 16 points a game.
Trev, because look at the garbage touchdowns yesterday. A late garbage touchdown late in the game. 2 touchdowns last week against the Chargers. Take those touchdowns away. Those don't count. 3 points is all they scored yesterday. 3 points. That's it. The other one doesn't count. Last week against the Chargers or whatever it was 2 weeks ago. Those 2 late touchdowns, block those away. Those don't count. Those are make believe. Those don't count. Yeah, they count on the scoreboard, but they do not count. They do not count because you got to look at the whole picture of the game as a whole. But if you're scoring points it's like Washington last night. You score a late touchdown when you're down 56-7. What does that mean to me? Maybe it covered your over. That's it.
Maybe it helps your fantasy team in that situation. But other than that, it doesn't do anything for your franchise. This is a complete and utter disaster again in New York Football Giants. And I think all New York fans should realize that this is a terrible and absolute putrid time to be a New York football fan and a New York sports fan, because right now there's nothing good that comes from New York sports right now. There's nothing. It's just the state of New York. And I think all Giant fans should really look in the mirror and just say, this franchise is years. This isn't like, and everybody wants to say, oh, would you give up Russell Wilson? No, because for Russell Wilson's sake, I wouldn't want to come here. But he does not. He's not a needle mover. He doesn't change anything. Yeah, you get a quarterback. That's it. You still have the coaching issues. You still have the offensive line issues. And you just have a franchise that is still living in the 1960s. And they're going to be stubborn as can be. And until that they want to start saying, we need to make a change, this franchise is going to be in the dumps. And it's not going away for some time. But like I said in the beginning of the show, this will be the last time. If you want to go watch Giant shows, go check out YouTube, or you can check out at Clovercrest Media, Drawn About the G-Men, where they are going to talk about New York Giant football. We are done for the rest of the year about New York Football Giants.
The only way we talk about the Giants if something major happens in a sense of
I don't know what can give us a reason to even talk about it, Ted, because there's no good when talking about the New York Giants. There's just nothing. I don't know what's major for us to talk about.
Yeah, the
Giants are getting the number 1 pick, and I'd be terrified if the Giants had the number 1 pick. And I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I don't know what the hell they're doing each and every week. And for what the product that's been put on in the past, especially the past month, it's embarrassing. It's a joke, and it's a horror show. It's disgusting, and the Maras and Tisches should be embarrassed to see the product that's being put on the field for 60 minutes. Because there's less talented teams that at least show heart, at least show fight, and are winning games. There's nothing to talk positive about the New York Football Giants. So like I said, if you want to watch New York Giants shows, go check them out on YouTube. Go check them out on anywhere else, Spotify. I know there's a bunch of podcasts. I've been listening to them. You can go check out Drawn About the G-Men at clovercrestmedia.com as well, as they will talk more New York Giant football. But from Keys to the City, we are done talking New York Giant football because there's just too much greatness going. Oof, sorry, I'm losing my touch. there's too much greatness that's going on in the NFL right now, and we don't want to talk about the god-awful New York Football Giants. We're going to be back later in the week. We're going to recap the 2020 season. 2021 sports year. This is it. We're a couple days away from 2022. We'll talk about that. We have a huge show as well because we're going to be talking college football playoff. The Final Four will be played Friday, so we're having our predictions and preview for that. And we'll talk more NFL because there is, we're talking playoff time, and there is some massive implications.
Well, and building off the Giants thing, and I don't know if you wanted to talk about this, but I'll tell you this: the three biggest wins I thought this week was Dallas, Kansas City, and the Bengals. And you'll say, why the Bengals?
I would say the Bills.
Well, the Bills too, then. But
I would say. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, no, just the Bengals, and I look at the Bengals like, okay, this is a team that can make noise. They got a pretty sound defense. They got a quarterback that he breeds belief.
That's another thing. That's the one thing also that we didn't bring up. There's development. There's progress. The Cincinnati Bengals last year were a bad team. They're going to be in the playoffs this year. The New York Giants, we keep saying there's going to be progress. There's been anything but progress from the New York Giants. It keeps going that way, keeps going backwards. So that's the difference between a franchise who has been bad for some time in the Cincinnati Bengals now has hope because of a quarterback change, drafting a guy like Joe Burrow, and making a selection and progress like a Jamar Chase and adding that type of chemistry with that offense. There's nothing to do with that with the New York Football Giants. But we have a lot to talk about later in the week. We might have to do 2 shows because there is a lot to cover this coming week with all the football that's going on. Boy, oh boy, I cannot wait. Got a lot of fun to happen. But no more Giant talk. That's it. No more. We'll be talking Giants until draft time. Is that fair? Everybody that agrees, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
What the web band that's Steve. Aye.
No, that's a stick.
But no, I'm trying to make it light of the situation, but just being a Giant fan right now.
Did you want to talk about the Colts and the Wentz and Baker and any of the
one right now?
Yeah.
I don't have really anything up right now, but if you want to discuss for a few minutes, I'm always game to talk football.
Here's I think
I'm always game to talk football, baby. You know this. I love.
Here's my thing. We got a big weekend too. You got the college football playoff this weekend. Ovi's right. Check them out on All Four Downs College Football Show. I believe they're on Fridays or Saturdays.
If you want, also
probably do the Friday show.
College football.
Here's the thing. You said something about the Colts where you thought the Colts are a Super Bowl playoff team. And I told you I don't agree because of their quarterback. I don't think Carson Wentz is good enough to make the play. That's where I think Dallas, I think the Rams, I think Green Bay, I think Buffalo and Chiefs are the only 5 teams right now. Because of Tampa Bay's injuries right now, I can't put faith in Tampa Bay right now. And I would put those 5 teams as the only Super Bowl caliber teams. I think the Colts can make a run to the AFC Championship game, but it'd be just like the old story.
Don't be surprised.
They would fall short. I think the Titans would fall short even with Derrick Henry because at the end of the day, the quarterback has to make the play, and I don't trust him. I'm just saying, I told you last night, don't be surprised that if the Colts did get to an AFC title game, and hell, if they even did make it because of the style of play, the tempo, they keep the offenses off the field, they tire you out, they got a solid defense that on all side, they turn the ball over too, they get turnovers. But he played awful Saturday night.
That's what I'm trying to say. But like I said to you last night too, and we had a great conversation with that, he doesn't, as long as he doesn't have to force the throws when he's called to ask, when his number is called to make the throw, that's all he needs to do. You have all pro.
That's still a lot.
You have the best running back in football this year, and Jonathan Taylor behind you. You have an offensive line that will protect you and is one of the better, if not the best offensive line in all of football. You have all the right ingredients for the Colts to make not just a deep playoff run, but to even make a Super Bowl run. And I know that's going to be the ultimate question, as it should be. Can Carson Wentz get him over the hump? That's said for a lot of quarterbacks, though. Matthew Stafford. I know the Rams are very talented. We still have to see Matthew Stafford in the playoffs, Ted. We still have to see him in the playoffs. Still hasn't won a playoff game, so let's not knock Matthew Stafford. But right now,
you want to crown him? Crown their ass.
If you want to crown him, then crown their ass. But we let him off the hook. No, all kidding aside, the Chiefs look legit. They're back. They look scarier more than ever right now. Their defense is playing out of their mind, and their offense. They are picking apart teams, and they are pedal to the metal, and they aren't even looking back. They aren't slowing down. They are scary right now. The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, man, just keeps finding ways to show why he's one of the best quarterbacks in all of the National Football League. Still got the Packers going. The Rams are starting to look like they're going to win the NFC West now because the Cardinals are slipping. But boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Don't be surprised if the Dallas Cowboys are hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy this year. They're legit. And if anybody that still doesn't think they are, you're not watching the same game. Or you're just either a jealous fan or you just hate the Dallas Cowboys. Trust me. I hate the Dallas Cowboys more than life itself. It's one of my greatest fears in life is to see the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl. But it's a strong, strong possibility because of the way that offense is starting to click now. And I think that's the game that they needed last night to get it going offensively. But that defense, scary.
Hey, and look at this. They play Arizona this
And I hate to say that. I hate to admit it, but I'm going to be a realist. And because I know a lot of people don't like to do that nowadays, you got to be real with what you're seeing. Because you put up 50, I remember looking, I was like watching at work, and I just look up and I see ESPN 42.5. I'm like, holy hell. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, that was supposed to be a competitive game. And it was 42-7. It's like, they could, like you said, Ted, they could put up 70 last night.
They put up 70. It was the
That's
worst.
the way the NFL season's going.
It was the worst defeat in the Washington-Dallas rivalry since it started.
And that's the difference between a franchise that knows what they're doing and a franchise that is incompetent because they have terrible ownership. Plain and simple. It's why the Redskins / football team have been comical. It's why the Giants have been comical. The Dallas Cowboys, I know they haven't won anything, but they find ways to still make the playoffs and they win football games. That's all you can ask for in the NFL. We'll see what happens. A lot going on. Huge games this weekend. Chiefs, Bengals. I forgot there's about 6 or 7 games that are legit and have huge implications. I cannot wait. Plus college football. Playoff, we'll talk about that. We'll be joined with D. Joseph Aguirre later in the week to talk all of that on Keys to the City. We are Keys to the City. We're streaming on all social media platforms, so check us out on all social media platforms and ClovercrestMedia.com for more podcasts. There's a hell of a lot more podcasts than just the Keys brothers. So if you like college football, if you like documentaries, if you like murder mysteries, check out Clovercrest Media. Speaking of Clovercrest Media, we are presented by Clovercrest Media. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.